Happy Friday, everybody. Quick little intro. I'm Sarah. A few of you may know of me already from the customer success side, in which we now have handed you guys over to Scarlet. A little bit about Open Mic. You would have seen the survey that went out a couple of weeks ago. I know a lot of you guys saw that one and gave back your feedback. So I just wanted to give a huge thanks there. That's really helped kind of bring this together, and especially on the content side of things as well. First Friday, I'm so sorry. Can you guys hear that background noise? I do apologize if you can hear it. We've gone any minute, a bit of construction. First Friday of every month, we'll be meeting here. The cadence may increase depending on the demand, but for now, we'll be sticking to the 2 p.m. Sydney time, first Friday of every month. And it's good to see we have a fair few of you here, so I'm glad you could all make it. Discord, I know most of you guys are on there. I did briefly want to touch on that. If you're not on the Discord, drop a message in the chat and we'll follow up with that. We just want to make sure that you guys are in there. Discord is our main support line for real-time communication. It's really good. We have the ROC team here today, so they'll be able to jump on any issues that you have in real time. And it's a really, really great tool to have, and even jump on calls if we need to as well. We find that the biggest automation success here at Rewst with most of our MSPs is those that ask questions, big or small. You may think they're silly. We've seen the questions, we've heard them all before, and the team are ready to help you out. So please, if you have any questions along the way, we've got the team monitoring the chat, drop any questions that you might have in there, or you can even forward them through to your existing Discord channel and the team are happy to help. Flow 2025, that's coming up in June. If you have any questions on that, I know we're across the pond and we're a little bit far away. I know a few of you guys have already got your tickets and got that sorted and are going. I think a couple of the guys from New Zealand. Tickets are selling out quite quickly. So if you are interested in that, please drop a message in your Discord or again in the chat and the team will be happy to help out. From here, we're going to do a few little intros with the Australian team. I'm going to hand over to Jo and she's going to do a little intro there.
Hi, it says Jocelyn, it's Jo. I am the ROC support automation specialist. I hope that a lot of you already have seen me in Discord. I just do support. That's basically it. And I'm very happy to work at the Australian team. And the Aussie team is the best. Thank you. And that's it. That's all I gotta say.
I think it's Ray next, but Ray might not be on the call because he has a day off today. So he might jump on at some point, but I'll go next. My name is Scarlet. Hopefully all of you guys know me by now. I am your customer success manager. I've been here for about 5 months and yeah, I like making things go faster. I will pass over to Jake. I think he's next.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Australian Open Mic. I'm happy to see that everyone's here. So I'm Jake Pantano. I'm an implementation specialist at Rewst, and essentially my purpose is to help our clients through the onboarding process. So integrating all the integrations that are things like PSA, RMM, cloud, documentation, licensing, org variables, and as well as helping clients on some calls like modifying crates, unpacking crates, and also once you are nearing the end of the sort of onboarding process, assisting with the technical launch call where we go through your environment and then we say, yep, you're good to launch into Rewst. That's a bit of background about me at the work life. I like to game, I like gym, I like a bit of golf. And yeah, so that's me. I'll now pass it on to, who's next? 3G, you're next, my friend.
Hey, I am Greggory. Everyone here very kindly calls me 3G. I am a lead automation specialist on the ROC. I work a split shift, so I spend about half my day with the US folks, spend half my day here with the Aussies and the Kiwis. I'm undecided which one is more fun. Personalities are, I think, a bit more entertaining, but also it's the end of my day. Bit about me, I have had 10 years in the industry prior to being at Rewst. So 4 years at a small MSP, 4 years at a large MSP that was about 45,000 endpoints when I left, 2 years working at a consultancy, thought I would leave the MSP world, got sucked right back in, and I have been loving it here at Rewst for the past 2 hours. So I'm sure I've talked with a few of you in Discord. But I handle tickets, I help out, try to get things off to our dev teams when needed. So it's the pleasure to be here. Actually, I have no idea who's next because I don't have a list.
Must be me. Oh, no, Sarah, sorry.
I've jumped around Rewst a little bit. I'm Sarah, for those that don't know me properly, but right now I am currently sitting as the finance associate here at Rewst, accounting associate. So feel free, any billing issues, anything along those lines, you can shoot an email to myself directly or billing@rewst.io, but we'll pop that in the chat as well. Your turn.
Lucky last. My name's Michael. On the Rock team as well. I've had the pleasure of talking with a few of you in Discord and in person. Fun fact about me: I was born in New Zealand but live in Australia, so I've got a foot in both camps. But when it comes to the rugby, I'm definitely 100% Kiwi. Luckily.
Beautiful, beautiful. Next, we're going to have Joe jump into a bit of an overview on the new features here at Rewst.
Okay, give me a few seconds to get all the things going.
Yeah, good.
Which is just simply one slide. And let me know if you guys are able to see my screen. Yay, nay?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so I will be talking about what's up with Rewst. So one of the new things that have come out, well, not come out, that have been greatly improved on is the new Cluck U training. This is a new website that we've launched. This has a lot of advantages over the old way that we were doing things before. Now it's going to be, and don't worry, I'm going to send you the links for these things as soon as I'm done with my presentation. If you navigate to learn.rewst.io, you're going to see the new site. It's beautiful, of course. And the advantages to it is you can choose between learning by yourself at your own pace, or you can actually do live sessions. The documentation is actually in a lot of these sessions that you can just click on. You have the ability to schedule your exam. You have this ability, which is something that a lot of you probably were asking about, like, hey, I completed something and I don't know if I did it or not. Now you're going to have visibility on what courses you have taken. Any region can take the exam now. I don't know if you guys have noticed that sometimes, hey, I'm here in Australia and I can't do my exam. Now you can. You have a better search of the courses that you can take, and you can actually filter between the courses of it being beginner, advanced, etc. And something else that we kind of jumping into the regions, again, now we have the UK region, the EU region, and your own region as well. Something else that came out, what's new with Rewst, is support access. I don't know if a lot of you guys noticed that before we were able to do all these changes. Now we cannot. So anytime that you need help, you're going to see us asking you a lot of times, hey, can you enable us to be able to do changes to your workflows or really be able to run things? It's going to require the support access. And also we have some new integrations. So we have Stripe, which is more like billing, quotes, that stuff. Shortcut, a lot of development. If you have a development in-house, this is going to be great for you, of course. And Traceless, going back to like security and that type of stuff. And that is going to be it for me. Thank you.
Beautiful. Michael, you're up.
Thanks, Sarah. Let me just share my screen as well. I have the very fortunate position of being able to talk about something very exciting. Cut right to the chase. We are adding PowerShell support almost anywhere that you use Ginger. We know that Ginger, while it is an acceptable and approachable templating language, has a few learning curves to it, and a lot of you have already been using PowerShell for quite some time. This will also make things a little bit more portable with Rewst, so you'll be able to take things that you've already built and bring them straight into Rewst ready to go. So without further ado, I'm just going to get a quick little demo up for you. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we've got two data aliases, so our PowerShell object and a Ginger object. So if we expand that out, you'll notice that we've got a new button up in the top right corner here. So basically, this is just a toggle between PowerShell and Ginger. So at the moment, we're in PowerShell mode. If I click that, we can see we lose all of our nice formatting and everything, and it's popped back into Ginger mode. So if I go back here, we can see we've got all our normal PowerShell operators and functions. We've got our custom object built here, and then at the end, we just convert that to JSON, and that's our output object. So similarly here, this is our Ginger, and if we click on here, we lose all of our Ginger formatting, and we go into PowerShell mode. So what this looks like as an output, if we go in here, we view our results. So we've got our Ginger object here, which outputs as normal JSON, like we're used to. And then the same thing in PowerShell, outputs exactly the same. So super useful. And the way this works is we deploy an Azure function into your Azure instance. So you will need to have Azure running. The reason we do this is because it gives you a bit more flexibility with libraries. And it's also a little bit more secure. So everything's running in your instance and not in Rewst. The thing we really cared about is running, So quick thing on cost. So we expect that this won't cost more than a few dollars a month. It's based on the Azure subscription model. So it's really just depends on how much we use it. But yeah, that's basically it. We're running a beta for this currently, so I'm going to drop a link into the chat, and anyone that's interested, please sign up, and we can go from there.
Nice. Thank you for that, Michael. Drop any questions in the chat as well. And like Michael said, we'll have the link popped in there. And if you have any interest in joining that, please get that done ASAP. Awesome. Who have we got? Jake, ready to go?
Yes, my time to shine. So hello again, everyone. Part of my presentation here, I'll be going through the user onboarding crate. We'll be going through some of the sub workflows that are contained within the crate. And I'll just go over some of the things that you can do from within. So starting off here, this is our revision 3 of the user onboarding crate. We had version 1 and version 2, but they are being deprecated. You'll still see them on the platform because some clients are still utilizing that crate. So we need to keep it there for now. But this is the new crate that we've developed. So in the description here, we can see what it does. So user creation for on-prem and Entra, copying attributes. You can go into share mailboxes, groups, home drive mapping. There's some customization and checks. We do also do licensing here as well, through manual or through a vendor or through Microsoft. There are some user creation controls as well as password handling. Things like sending your password to IT Glue or your PSA or even SMS, which I know a lot of clients do value this sending the password to the SMS. We can also do delayed starts or delayed user creation on this crate as well. So if a person's joining in 2 weeks, you can set the date, and when the date hits, it can trigger the automation. There's also a section for jump cloud and ticket creation, right? We do also have a recommended migration path if you are utilizing the previous crates. But for this session, we'll focus on this crate here. So it's a form-based crate whereby you fill out a form and that triggers the workflow and the automation. We've shortened it down from 2 forms into 1 form to make it more easy, more streamlined. And we'll go into some of the crate details now. So this is the form itself. The form can be, I guess, configured as you'd like. It's recommended to sort of go in here and review all the steps and see what things that you need to have in your environment and sort of add them from there. But we've generalized it in the sense that most of these things cater to most clients. But if you've got a specific use case, you can implement that as well and then use a workflow wrapper to incorporate another function into the workflow. So here's what the crate looks like. As you can see, it is much more streamlined. I don't know if you've seen the old one, but it was a mess. It was like a spider web that was infinitely long, right? We've made it much more logical, right? So it follows a streamlined, I guess, top-down process. And you can see here all the purple workflows are sub-workflows, which essentially is just a workflow that's part of the bigger workflow. And it covers all the things that are in the form. Diving a little bit deeper, so as you can see here, we do different identity provider sort of statuses. So we've got Azure AD. So if you have Azure AD, it'll take this pathway here on the left. On-prem only, it'll follow this. Hybrid no sync, it'll follow this. So we do cater to all different use cases. And again, if your top level has Azure, for instance, you can also configure for your clients that are on-prem to follow this pathway as well, right? Moving along to this section here, we have on-prem resolve groups, right? So we've got a section here on groups. These are all, again, part of the main workflow. This is the sub-workflow that's part of the main workflow. You can see all the variables that are set from within here. Moving along, we also have a PSA section, right? So normally, if you have a default PSA, it'll automatically select and know which PSA to utilize. These are our PSA offerings from the main crate that's synced, managed by us. But we also have a mail-only option. So one of my clients, they actually don't use a PSA. So like, how can we sort of utilize this crate? So there's a mail-only option. So you can utilize a mail-only function instead of using, I guess, a PSA in this instance, right? And again, we can see here that, how the PSA follows the workflow here, and it pertains to the variables from within Halo. Moving along here, we also have licensing, right? So we have group-based licensing, primary licensing, and direct licensing, which all follow different workflows. So we really are catering to all clients' use cases, right? So whatever sort of way you assign licenses, we can cater to this from within the onboarding workflow. Also over here, we've got an even bigger, more in-depth, adding a user to a license group. As you can see here, we have Microsoft, Paxate, Ingram, so these are all the vendors, but we also have a manual option here. So if you don't use a vendor, there is a workflow for manually assigning a license, right? We have Synex as well, and these are all the vendors that we currently offer. And we are looking to extend upon this in the near, not too distant future. So you might expect to see someone like Tech Data or Ripe down the line. The next thing here is the M365 and shared mailbox workflow. So as you can see here, distribution groups, we have security groups, mail enable groups. So we can manage all that through this workflow as well. We can also do password management as well, password handling. So we can store the password in Hoodoo, IT Glue, or send it to an SMS, or even have it in a ticket. It just depends on your security protocols at your business or your client's business, right? It might differ from client to client, but we try to cater for all those use cases, right? So password to be stored in IT Glue, password to be stored in Hoodoo, or even SMS. Moving along, we have upserting of the contract. So various different PSAs have different workflows, as you can see here. But we can upsert the contract per the PSA. If you're using Datto, it'll follow this logical workflow and put the contract appropriately in its place. This is just another summary of the onboarding workflow itself. Here we can see this is the ticket, final ticket update. So all of the steps, or the main portions of the steps, are actually put in the ticket. So your engineers can see. It's good for auditing purposes. There's a trail, and these are the details that get placed into the ticket. Cool. So we have actually 5 documentation resources here, which I'm going to post in the chat right now, and I'll go through them. So let me just post it in the chat. Bear with me, please. Chat. Post them here. So there, for your reference, I've got 5 different URLs there. So the first one here is onboarding and identity provider configuration and setup. So here you can sort of see the different identity providing methods, and also some of the variables that are around defining said methods, right? We also have a username format section here. So we pretty much cater to most of the formatting use cases. If there is not one here, it's pretty simple to just go into the form, modify the text field and create a variable for the use case of the value that you want to put in, right? So that information is all here, right? We've got some things about hybrid and AD synchronization configuration, right, with the variable here as well. And also some ticketing and documentation configuration variables, right? So good place to find all the variables so you can pull context from them in the workflow, and you can make adjustments accordingly. In the second section here, we've got org variables. So org variables are pretty important because they are what the workflow is pulling context from. So normally you set the variables at the top level, and you can also set them specifically to your client as well. If they differ from, say, naming convention or phone number convention, these are pretty important to get set up. There is a crate for this, by the way. There's a crate where you use a form, and you can create those variables there, right? And all the information is provided within this documentation piece here. The third, but not last, documentation piece here is the form input and workflow process. So in these boxes, we can see here, I guess, the onboarding form fields. So every field in the actual form has a variable here and a description of what it's doing. So very useful for engineers that want to come in. They want to say, what's that variable actually doing? They can read about it here. They can reference it. And there's also some stuff here to decode some advanced Ginger conditions, right? There's some more information here about the workflow process overview, right? So it's a logical information-based piece here on what it's doing. And then below that, we also have a breakdown of the identity provider type that you may want to be utilizing as part of the workflow. Second last documentation piece here is the onboarding and context organization variable reference. So again, we have a nice little drop-down box here where we can see the context variables for different things, like say user information. These are all the context variables that relate to users. Same thing for identity and directory information and so forth, right? Ticketing, security and password management, as well as licensing and group management as well. There's also org variable references, right? So you can see here things like default RMM, primary identity provider. Again, we've got ticketing here, licensing, security, and then we've got some miscellaneous things here as well. The last piece of documentation here that I posted in the chat is the testing and the troubleshooting of the onboarding crate. A very useful resource. So it covers the testing of the actual crate itself. And there's information here on verifying the crate and assignment. We've got configuring the ticket and documentation updates, as well as some common issues you may encounter when setting up the workflow. There's also some debugging, I guess, boxes here where it pertain to things like, user not getting credit in AD, and the common symptoms that you may find you run into. But conceptually, that is a pretty broad overview. Before I kick it off to the next person, is there any questions based on anything that I've discussed? Cool. All right. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And again, if there's any issues that you're facing, please feel free to use Discord, contact The Rock. They'll be the first point of contact, and they'll be able to quench any issues that you're actually running into. Lovely. So I'll now hand it off to, I guess we have some customers presenting now, I believe. Is that what I understand, Sarah?
We do.
Beautiful.
We're going to hand off to Ben Marshall. I'm sure I've seen you pop in.
Yeah, I'm here.
Perfect.
How you going?
Awesome.
Cool.
Welcome.
Let me bring my screen up. So my name is Ben. I'm from Platt Technology. Basically, what I'm going to present today, we have a customer who had a lot of challenges around data loss prevention and losing data through exploitation. And because of that, they've become twice bitten and once shy. So they want to actually start being able to automatically respond to what they consider as threats without reaching out to our team. What ended up happening is they would end up calling our help desk, first 4 a.m, asking us to block a user or to investigate a user. As they were VIPs, they had that right to, but I want to give my techs more time back to sleep. So I've built this little workflow where they can jump in, fill in a form, and do what we consider like the 4 or 5 most regular tasks that they request. So the form itself is quite simple. It just pulls whoever's doing the form, asks a couple of questions, gives them a couple of actions, and then gives them some, feedback saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. In use case, or like this, it'll be, okay, who's filling in the form, so check. We'll then say for myself or someone else, and then we'll say, okay, I need to review test user once it wants to populate. Let me refresh the screen. So we'll populate that, and then as we go through and say, all right, I want to block this user, or I want to do some other actions, it will actually give us options there. So user through, and then we'll go, okay, cool. I want to block that, block that, block that, block that. So basically here I'm saying I want to obtain access to the user's mailbox. I want to add BCC to the emails. I want to block them from sending externally, and I want to just kick them off and block them out of the portal already. As you can see, it automatically goes through and says, hey, this is what you're doing, and then warns them, by the way, if you do this, only we can undo it, so be wary. They tick the box, hit submit, and it comes through to our workflow here. Workflow is pretty straightforward. Starts off, gets the user details, gets the management details, puts it all, collates it all, and creates a ticket, utilizing all of the sub workflows straight from Rewst with the create ticket using our PSA, which is ConnectWise. Then goes through and actions each of the requested actions, which will be block, external BCC, mailbox, external email. We also have this little fun side task here that goes through and ensures that there's always 4 tasks running. So it's just basically a check. If not blocked, then pass it on. It also will give us feedback during the actual test itself. So if it fails to create the ticket, it will send us an email out and passes it on. It then waits results, makes sure that the ticket ID, updates the ticket, sends an email, and then ends the process. The sub workflows, very straightforward. So add BC to external emails basically gets the status. So I've done this via groups. So when you add them to a group, they follow different mail rules and or DLP rules. So basically I can redirect all external emails to another to an internal mailbox, or I can BCC all external emails to an internal mailbox, just so the VIPs can get oversight of what is being sent out. Can also, let's get rid of this little thing here, set mailbox permissions. So this just goes through, does a quick exchange call and sets permissions. It also does a check and makes sure that they already have permissions. And a fun little side project is it actually adds the URL to that shared mailbox. The block and sign out user, again, pretty straightforward, checks the user, blocks them out, and then forces all sign out sessions to expire. And again, reports back in every stage. A lot of this is done via the flow. What you end up getting is, if I get through the email, the client ends up getting this little form back here saying, let's go to the pretty version. Hey, this is what's happened. You've sent this through. Sign was blocked. External emails were sent. And now we're email forwarding and also access to mailbox, and you can click there. And the old, here's the ticket ID, and if there's any issues, please click here to contact, which will raise an email direct to our support box with the ticket ID as the subject. The other fun things we have to do this, of course, to make it pretty, we've gone through and created a template that goes through, and that's what passes all the data. Does a couple of logic checks. So in the event that there's a failed task, it will actually sit there and say, well, this task failed and this is why. So an important one would be, hey, this task to give you access to the shared mailbox failed because you already have access. Here's the link. Or it actually raises a ticket alert for us to know first thing in the morning, we need to jump on and get that sorted straight away. Again, all of this is reporting back. We also refer to the organizational variables. So to make it more modular, because why make it for one client when you can make it for all clients? We've come through and I've just created a couple of DLP organizational variables for alert email communicator, which is what it sends as the redirect email group and the BCC group. So we can actually sit there and force that to specific tasks. And that would be the basic logic behind it. It then comes through, creates a ticket, and gives us the full detailed notes saying, this is what's being requested, this is how it's done, and this is what it's been pushed back on. The only other stopgap we have is in the event of a full failure. Of course, we have our failure workflow completer, which is, what we use for everything. But any questions on that one? No? Oh, good. Oh, yes. That's to our hand. Laughing. All right, I'll leave you guys to it.
I've got one question, Ben. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, of course. No, it's of course, Michael.
Is there anything that you're looking to add in the future, or anything that you wanted to add that you couldn't?
So that's a very valid question. We did actually have a couple additional steps in there that we were going to add, such as completely wipe the user's device and also basically remove all their SharePoint access and SharePoint links. but we decided to remove that because that was going to basically be an unrecoverable action, and there's giving the end users power, and then there's giving the end users the ability to destroy their environment. So we kind of held that back a bit and just kind of went this. There are some logic built in there as well for the VIPs to be able to undo the actions I've added. I haven't implemented that yet. Again, I still want our team to be aware of when they're doing these actions. I don't want to get in a situation where our VIPs are obtaining access to all their employees' mailboxes and then removing it 20 times throughout the night, just because, again, we don't know what potential challenges that could create for our end. The main one we are concerned about is the blocking and signing out user. I do need to add additional steps there to actually warn our team. So when the user calls in the morning saying, I can't sign in, we know exactly how to respond.
Yeah, it's super cool. Thanks for sharing that.
No, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. Did anyone have any other questions before we hand off for another our next demo? Pretty good. All right, awesome. We have James Allen up next with another exciting demo for you all. Are you there? Oh, yep, I can see you.
Hey, everybody. Sorry if I sound a bit funky. I'm losing my voice. Cool. Well, I built this little workflow, and this one is actually a little one. Let me share my screen, and I'll show you all. There we go. So, yeah, James from High Tech IT Works. We are Autotask users, and we are also Xero users. And for anybody else that uses both of those, you'll know that Autotask does not natively sync into Xero. You have to use a middleware. We use a product called Cloud Depot. Long story short, when products that are being invoiced out are synchronized across to Xero, they need to have an internal asset ID that gets registered in Xero as the ID that Xero references, and that ID has to be unique. Unfortunately, in Autotask, there is no way to make that field mandatory, meaning any new stock or any new product codes that get created, they don't always get created with that ID in mind. So rather than our accounts team having to fix this up every time there was a synchronization error in Cloud Depot, I built this little workflow that runs on a 6-hourly schedule. It finds any new products that were created in the last, I think, 6 hours using a very cumbersome URL path here. If there isn't any, it obviously just exits out. But if it finds one or more, then we just simply update that product with, what have we done here? We take the item ID, which is still a unique ID that's in the back end of Autotask, and we just use that as the ID that gets pushed in, which then synchronizes over to Xero. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, but we found that it saved our team probably an hour a week, which is ridiculous, but it's saved us a bit of time.
Thomas, you got a question there?
No, sorry, I pushed the wrong button.
Ah, you're all good. You're all good. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you so much for sharing, James. Appreciate it. That's awesome. Cool. So that's our demo for today. Did any of the team have any other announcements they wanted to push forward? I know we've got a fair few on here. I didn't expect this many today. George, I know you always want to talk.
I'm getting too much abuse in this chat here over here, Sarah, for me to say too much. Yeah, one question I had just in general for our partners down under, just keen to get a sense of yeah, it's our first open mic. Is there anything that you guys feel you want to see that's maybe different from the recordings that come out from our North America sessions? We know, there's certain ways of doing things across the globe. Is there anything that you guys down in Australia, New Zealand, and areas that would like us to have a bit more of a focus on for these particular calls? Your silence is very reassuring. Well, if anyone does think of anything, or we know, like even with I keep forgetting, maybe Jake or Michael can remind me, there's a slightly different compliance framework or one that's favored in Down Under. I know most folks use NIST, but there's, or maybe Ray's on and he knows. I just forget the name.
ISO 27001.
No, it's something else.
No.
Oh, it's the Essential
There's
8.
NIST,
That's it.
the
Yeah,
EA,
that one there.
and ISO.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just things like that. If there's any subtle differences that you guys want us to bring some content forward specifically for this call, yeah, let us know. You can always ping us on the Aussie Discord, or reach out to Joe or Scar and let them know directly. Silence is compliance.
Awesome. Brief reminder, Flow conference coming up in June, held in Tampa. Again, if you want any more info on that one, please drop a message in the chat or reach out directly on Discord, and the guys can send over all the information we have on that front. Otherwise, if we've got no more questions, we might wrap it up and give you some more time back in your day. But thank you, everybody, for joining. We appreciate your time and everyone jumping on to kick off our first ANZ Open Mic. And we'll catch you all next month.
Don't forget, we have to meow.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Meow.
Yeah, meow. Thank you all.
Yeah.
And bye.